And one thing that is really cool about the single song publishing deals, when they sign a song in on a contract, is Liz Hangberg. She said when she was taking all these publishing meetings, she used to get really frustrated because she'd play on 5 songs and they'd take one and they'd offer a single song deal on it,
right.
But they never wanted her. And she
right.
was like, "Why don't they want me?" And she finally figured it out. She wasn't writing consistently yet,
right.
But and as she said, she looked back and she had like 15 single song deals with publishers all over.
Mm-hmm.
And one publisher in particular, I think it was Star Trek, I can't remember, but she said all of those were validations.
Right.
You're on the right road.
Exactly.
This song is great. Your catalog's not yet, but this one is. And so her goal started being, well, screw it. I can't get a publishing deal. I'm just going to get enough single song contracts. But what it did was it prompted her to write songs that were great enough
exactly.
to be offered.
Exactly.
And by the time she knew it, she had a great catalog. So, and she, in her book, she says, "Oh, I look back on all this and realized that these were all the little validations that I needed to bring my whole writing up a level, not just every once in a while I have this really great idea, and it's hit and miss."
And sometimes it's amazing how much better a writer's songs get after they have a couple of cuts.
Oh yeah. Well, the confidence and the money helps.
Well, but I mean they're old songs.
Oh yeah.
It's all of a sudden it's amazing how much better people think those old songs are now.
Once they're validated.
Once they're starting to have success. Now, of course, the bottom line is, like Jimmy said, you do need to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and set that bar higher and higher and higher and continue writing quality songs instead of quantity, mm-hmm. and getting them where it's as consistent as possible. As a publisher, one thing I feel like I need to bring up here is one of the things that I always wanted to find out about a writer was how many songs does that writer have to write before they write something that's competitive.
Right.
And this is every writer, pretty much every writer. Some writers have to write 5 or 6 things before they write one that's really competitive, that's really in the hunt, that you really feel like you can get out there and get cut. Mm-hmm. There are other writers that have to write 10. There are other writers that have to write 15 or 20 mm-hmm. to get to that one. And it's important for a publisher to know. And that's another reason for you to keep raising that bar and to get those ideas and those songs to be consistently as strong as they can be.
And one way to kind of double check yourself that you are growing and that you are becoming more competitive, Lynn Gann says this, and I think Tom Luter and Lynn kind of both made this analogy one night when we were talking. Wherever you are, if you're not in Nashville, if you're in Wichita or wherever you are, find a group of writers. Once you're the best writer of that group, find a larger group of writers.
Right. Mm-hmm. Once
you're the best writer and your stuff is consistently killing their stuff, then come to Nashville and go to a writer's night.
Right.
And play a writer's night. And if your song is better than all of those, go to a bigger writer's night, mm-hmm. and then get networked into larger groups. Then you're meeting with publishers, and then that way you're always stepping it up, and you're always on top of your game, and beyond a shadow of a doubt, I'm the best writer in this group. Does that mean I'm the best writer in the world? No, but I'm here right now, and keep leveling yourself up like that. And that way, by the time you are in Nashville and you are pitching your songs or you are taking a publishing meeting, you have the confidence
to know that you're competitive.
That you are competitive.
Yeah. Well, and it's like Jimmy has brought up before too. About the worst thing that can happen to you as a new writer is to have a premature meeting with a publisher, mm-hmm. or a premature meeting with a label person, mm-hmm. because these people are too busy, and they will write you off if you don't bring them something that's competitive. You won't get to sit with them again. So have your ducks in a row.
Yeah, I mean, and I know that, I tell you guys all my battle stories and stuff, and I don't know why I've been able to maintain the relationships that I have, considering the really foolish and stupid things that I've done and the grooming that I've done. But I am the absolute exception to the rule. Most people that come to town and that have done some of this crazy stuff that I've done that I've told you guys about, you know, the thing I'm fortunate about is I work on the business side as well.
Mm-hmm.
So the foolish things I've done as a writer, I can kind of maintain that relationship, and you know, we laugh about it now. Dave Berg, I completely groomed him one time, and now he makes fun of me for it, you know.
Yeah.
But that's because I have a different relationship with him on a business side that's different than the writer thing.
Exactly.
If I had just come to town as a writer and that was my only thing and that's what I was going for, and I never owned a studio and I didn't work for NSAI, I would not have the opportunity to repair those relationships that I screwed up when I first got to town. So
Right.
just know, when I tell you guys my horror stories, please don't go emulate them or think that it's okay to screw up, because many times it's not.
No.
You won't get a second chance like I got. You know?
And the other part that I think Jimmy might be leaving out here is, once people see in the music community here that somebody is here,
Mhm.
that they didn't just come to town for 3 months or 6 months and leave. Once they see that somebody is in it for the long haul, they're a lot more apt to be more forgiving
Mhm.
than they are for somebody who comes to town for 3 months or 6
Or a
months and
year.
gurms
Yeah.
everybody and
I think it's frustrating.
and
goes
gets
home.
frustrated and leaves.
Yeah.
Right.
And just the last thing we wanted to talk about as far as getting your songs cut is working with a song plugger. Now, I want to preface all this, Chip, with, in my experience and in my knowledge of Music Row, there are very few real song pluggers. There are many, vast amounts of people who call themselves pluggers or companies who are more than willing to take your money
Right.
and to give you a nice little pitch sheet at the end of every month telling you that they pitched your song to George Strait and blah, blah, blah. And also tell you that you don't need demos, that they'll, you know, pitch your work tapes and blow a lot of sunshine up your ass. Sorry if I sound rude there, but that's true. So I want to preface it with that, because the number one question I get more than anything else is, I need a song plugger. Jimmy, is this guy cool? Is this company good?
Right.
And here's the deal. I can't tell you that liability-wise, but what I can tell you is there are very few real successful people that I consider song pluggers, because it's an art and because it takes a very special kind of business head to do it. And I don't know about you, Chip, but the pluggers I know don't take on new writers. Not the successful ones. Very rarely do they.
Very, very rarely do they, but they will do a single song contract from time to time. But yeah, I mean, it's an art, but it's also a lot of it is learned. Like we were talking about earlier, you have to have 7, 8, 10 meetings with Chris Lacey to figure out what subject matter she will listen to, and what's going to make her turn something off in the first half of the first verse. You know, you gotta take those meetings to know that. And you're right. You know, a lot of these people who call themselves song pluggers, they really haven't done that. They listen to something, they like it, they shoot somebody an email,
Yeah.
and email it to them, or they drop it off. Well, that's going to go on their sheet that you get at the end of the month. Now, it may not tell you that they dropped it off at the front desk at Sony, and that it got put in a box with 800 other CDs that
Right.
will never be listened to.
Right.
On your sheet, it's just going to say pitch to Sony Records for Alan Jackson, and a date.
I'll tell you how, this has been this is how I know if someone's a real plugger and if they're doing their job. It happened just at our last roundtable. Lisa Ramsey Perkins was here, and Tony Lopaczynski came and participated as a writer. And Tony played a song, and everyone loved it. He's a great writer. And Lisa goes, I heard this just 2 days ago.
Right.
That's because Tony has a real song plugger, and she went and played that song in person for Lisa Perkins.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's what a real plugger does.